The sun was beginning to set behind the tall city buildings, casting a golden hue over the concrete jungle. People hurried home, lost in their own thoughts, barely noticing the little girl sitting quietly at the corner of the bustling avenue. She wore a faded pink dress, her shoes mismatched, and her hair tied in a messy ponytail. Her eyes, though tired, still sparkled with innocence. In her small hands, she clutched a piece of paper with a crude drawing of a family, something she had sketched from her imagination. A mother, a father, a little girl. Something she never had. On the other side of the street, a black luxury car came to a halt outside a high-end restaurant. A tall man in a perfectly tailored suit stepped out, phone in hand, giving orders to someone on the other end. He was James Crawford, a millionaire tech CEO known for his innovations and business brilliance. He was also a father to a young girl named Emily, whom he adored. As James approached the restaurant, he noticed a pair of eyes watching him from across the street. There was something hauntingly familiar about that look, the kind of longing that goes beyond hunger or poverty. It was a look he had seen once before, in the mirror of his own childhood. Before the wealth, before the fame, he too had known loneliness. Instead of entering the restaurant, James turned around, crossed the street, and knelt down in front of the little girl. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. The girl nodded but didn't speak. She looked up at him with those same searching eyes. "Do you need food, money, a place to stay?" She hesitated, then shook her head slowly. "I don't need money," she whispered. "I just need a hug. Like the one you gave your daughter." James was stunned. Of all the things she could have asked for, it wasn't food, clothes, or shelter. It was something much deeper, a simple gesture of love. Without hesitation, James opened his arms, and the girl stepped into them. It was an embrace that held more emotion than words ever could. She cried softly into his chest, and he held her tighter, feeling a wave of emotion he hadn't felt in years. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't a CEO or a public figure. He was just a human being connecting with another soul in pain. That moment changed everything. James made some quick calls. Within the hour, a child welfare worker arrived, not to take the girl away, but to work with James on how best to help her. He wasn't interested in temporary fixes. He wanted to give her a life, a real one. Over the next few weeks, the girl, whose name was Lily, moved into a warm home. She had her own bed, a room filled with books and toys, and most importantly, people who cared. Emily and Lily bonded instantly, sharing laughter, secrets, and the kind of sisterhood born not from blood but from the heart. James enrolled Lily in the same school as Emily, hired therapists to help her heal from her trauma, and even established a foundation in her name, the Lily Grace Foundation, aimed at providing emotional and psychological support for homeless and orphaned children. The foundation's motto echoed the words that started it all: "More than money, every child deserves love." As the story of Lily spread, it touched millions. People across the world were moved by the simplicity of her wish. Influencers, celebrities, and everyday citizens began to reevaluate their approach to charity. Many started asking a simple question before offering help: what do you really need? This small act of compassion sparked a movement. Hugs over handouts, connection over charity. It reminded the world that while financial aid is vital, emotional warmth is irreplaceable. That sometimes, what people need most isn't a solution, but to be seen, heard, and embraced. In interviews, James would often recall that moment on the street with tears in his eyes. "She didn't ask for a toy or a dollar," he'd say. "She just wanted to feel like someone cared." Lily, now thriving and full of joy, would later write a children's book titled "The Hug That Built a Home." It became a bestseller, read in classrooms, libraries, and orphanages around the globe. The story emphasized the power of love and how a single act of kindness can change everything. People began writing to the Lily Grace Foundation, sharing their own stories of connection and hope. Some found inspiration to adopt, others began volunteering at shelters, and many more simply took time out of their days to offer kind words or warm hugs to those who needed them. And in all of it, one small voice echoed louder than the rest, the voice of a little girl who once sat on a city street, forgotten by the world but not by fate. Years later, when asked how she overcame her past, Lily would say with a smile, "Because someone saw me, not as a problem to fix, but as a heart that needed holding." This story isn't about wealth, fame, or grand gestures. It's about human connection. It's about seeing the child behind the dirt-smudged face, the soul behind the silence, the need behind the pride. In a world that often rushes past pain, maybe what we all need is to slow down and remember the power of presence. Maybe what the world needs isn't more millionaires, but more people willing to give hugs, willing to see others as family even if just for a moment. And maybe, just maybe, that little girl taught us all the greatest lesson, that love, in its purest form, doesn't cost a thing, yet it's the most valuable gift we can give. So the next time you walk past someone who looks lost, don't just wonder if they need help. Ask, listen, and if the moment feels right, offer them what Lily asked for, not money but a human connection. Because sometimes, the most powerful words are the simplest. I'm here, I see you, you matter. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can give is a hug. Hashtag emotional stories, hashtag touching stories, hashtag heartwarming stories, hashtag soul-stirring stories. Welcome to Soul-Stirring Stories, where fiction meets deep emotional truth. These stories aren't just made to entertain, they're designed to heal, to connect, and to awaken the goodness in all of us. Every scene, every word, is crafted to inspire hope and compassion. Thank you for watching, and never underestimate the power of kindness.